Hey, April, can you send Judy the link again? She just texted me saying she can't get in. Oh, there's Judy. Okay. Hi, Judy. There you are. Let's get you to unmute, please.
Here we are.
We made it. Yes.
Can you hear me?
I hear you wonderfully. Yeah.
Can you hear me? No, I can't even hear you.
Can you hear?
What is wrong?
Turn up your volume. You can't hear me. Let me
I can't hear you, John.
Okay, hold on.
Why?
Hopefully you saw that. Can you hear me now?
I can't hear you at all.
Okay.
Good.
Let's see.
It is up. It's totally up. It's up. We tested it yesterday, and I don't know why it's now not working at all.
Let me see what I can do.
But what I'll do is I'll just have to default to my computer instead of this. This is not, I don't know why it's not working.
Okay, well, hold on a second. April, can you hear me? And it looks like we have participants on already. April.
I don't know.
April, we have a lot of people on. Can you adjust that? We can hear all of you. Thank you, Pauline.
I can't hear you. So all I can't hear anything. And John, have you got your mic muted? No.
I muted it for a second.
Hello?
But you can't.
What I'll do is I'll just pull this out. Hold on.
Your call at time out of New Zealand. Please.
Can you hear me now?
I can hear you, yes.
What I'll do is I'll call you on the phone. Okay. I don't know why it's not working. I'm sorry. Okay.
Hey, Judy, I just turned off. Were you?
Yes, I'm sorry. I don't know why this is happening because we tested it out yesterday and I have no idea.
Hey, everybody. We already have a lot of people showing up, and for some reason, the recording started right away when it wasn't supposed to. But that's okay. April, you'll get that straightened out for next time, I'm sure. And Judy is going to join us in just a second. She was having some audio issues. But again, we'll get that resolved here quickly. And looks like Judy has come on. And Judy, can you hear me? Wonderful. Now, if you can unmute yourself, I think we're off to the races. I love a little Mercury retrograde in my life.
Okay. I know. It's very exciting. I'm sorry, everybody, that we had this kerfuffle.
Oh no, this is, I think it's par for the course, Judy, and really shows just with a little bit of pausing and grace, and just everything's going to be okay. That it's all, the flow finds itself.
Yes.
And so I think this is just wonderful. And as we're coming online here, everybody, welcome to tonight's call on BTO. And Judy and I haven't had a chance to drop in because we normally do that during pre-interview, but we're doing it now.
Yes.
And I want to welcome everybody to today's, I want to call it a transmission. And Judy, really take this anywhere you want to go. But what I really am admiring and is inspiring for me, and this came up for me in conversation last week with somebody, is like, I want to speak and have conversation with the speakers that come on BTO as to how they are living their life and these transcending energies, how you can hold such a high octave of energy, of light, and at the same time be grounded into this human experience and make a success out of it. Because throughout the years, we've seen, okay, we've had these beings who could channel and bring in information, but they're living in poverty consciousness, or people who had maybe the talents, but they were so in the mundane world that they would skip the access in order to try to fit into this compartmentalized synthetic creation that's this human experience. And so to have you on and to have you share how we're getting ready for this 2022 energy, what your personal journey is through it, also how you're adjusting and acclimating to it, and also just this amazing energy that just in your sincerity, and I want to call it purity, but integrity, that you bring in, that you actually give that rise to all of us who are immersed in that field with you. So thank you for sharing in the way you do, and for coming on BTO again. Yeah, it's wonderful to have you here.
Thank you very much. Thank you. And hello, everybody. And I guess the topic of the conversation today is about soul emergence, ascension and soul emergence. And what I've noticed for myself, and I'm sure you're all noticing it too, is that as our lives are changing out there in the world, we're also changing inside of ourselves. And just to summarize briefly what ascension is, it's not going up or going anywhere. It's actually becoming more of who we truly are as human beings. It's coming into our own. And the soul emergence part of it is because more of our soul, our overlighting higher self, this eternal aspect of who we are and have always been, is merging with our personality human self. And so what is occurring for many people right now is that we're not feeling like we used to feel. We're feeling maybe a bit out of sync. Time feels like it's speeding up. We feel that we don't really know ourselves anymore as to who we used to be. It's truly a time of going within, and it's a time of being still. It's a time of evolving into this more of this beauty and this light and this energy and the authentic essence of who we are. And I guess, John, I really touch on that word authenticity, because, when we come on this call today, we are being called to be authentic and in our integrity and in our truth. But we're also human beings merging with that more authentic soul self of us. And I think that's true for all of us. And so this time is, as we move into 2022, is a time of really completing that merger. Not for everybody, because every person on the planet is at a different rate and stage of this process of what I call ascension change. But it is true for probably everybody who's listening today on your call. And you see, ascension is about expansion into, we could say, higher states of consciousness, but really they're just more expanded, fast vibrating energies of thought and belief, vibrating within the cells and in the energy fields of the body, like consciousness states of peace and love and unity and strength and the beauty of really who we are. And this is a consciousness change, but it's also a physical change, because our physical bodies are also being upgraded by these ascension energies, which are streaming from deep space, part of a divinely orchestrated plan. And they're coming from, in my understanding, they're coming from this place called Beyond the Beyond, which is really the heart center of 22 galaxies arranged in a diamond-shaped pattern in the cosmos. And this energy, these ascension codes, because that's what they are sparking first the awakening and then the coming forth, like the blooming and the blossoming of more of the soul aspect of who we are. So that's where I feel we are at right now, at this time, October 2021. Getting ready, because we're on the cusp of something, I feel, really quite special.
I love that you said of something, because that's been my experience. I know I'm on the cusp of something. Don't ask me to tell you what it is, but I can feel this, an immersion of something that is spectacular compared to anything that I've experienced before. Really a calling forward and a maturation into an integrity of more of my soul's voice, as opposed to the way that we've been trained ourselves. I don't want to say we've been entrained, that we've been trained ourselves to create so far. So there's definitely a huge shift that's happening. And again, the unknowingness of it, even though we can feel the impetus, is can be quite jarring for a lot of people. I certainly go through my waves of it.
I think we all do. I think we all do. And because we're going where no man has gone before, like from Star Trek, we're actually literally going where no man has gone before in this process of ascension. Because what I came to understand last year when I brought through some work called the Codes of Light, and you were on that process of the Codes of Light with me, John, speaking. And what I got to understand is that on a soul level, we're actually at the end and the new beginning of a completely new, more expanded soul cycle, not just in a human ascension process. So this, what I call alpha to omega cycle, from the beginning to the end, began when we became an individuated soul separate from the Godhead, our divine creation, and stepped down from our monad, our soul group, and became, lived in our first cycles of individuated consciousness life in a physical form of some kind, which may have been on planet Earth, but it's very likely that it might have been some other star system somewhere. Many of us came to the Earth when the Earth was Tara, which is fifth dimensional Earth before the fall, the diminishing or contracting of Earth's vibration, which brought it to 3D. And now we're going back, we're returning really. So this entire process is a process of coming full circle so that we might be recreated, which is ascension, to go beyond. But as Jesus Christ said, you are not to leave your bodies behind, you are to take your bodies with you on this journey. And that's exactly what's happening to us, because we're being revitalized and reborn to some degree. And this is what it's like for me and for all of us. We have to dump the old, which is the karmic miasmic patterning of the trauma energy of all that we've taken into our human cells, our soul, from past life, from the time we began an individuated soul, all the way through to now, so that we can be as clear as we can to receive these energies of transformation that are coming through to us from beyond the beyond, from this more expanded energy matrix of God or source at the heart of this 22 galactic grouping. Receive this energy and allow this energy, these codes of light, these energy words of new creation, because they are light, and light, of course, is energy and sound and vibration. And because we're energy beings, this energy is vibrating the old out of us, the karmic miasmic patterning, and repatterning us for this new, more vital expression of who we are as human people. And that's what ascension is, everybody, really. And it's can be a little bit disconcerting, because we don't actually know what's coming forward in 2022. I've got a few little notes that Spirit have given me I'm going to share with you all, but we don't have a crystal ball. We're human people in this human body, and we can only predict, and Spirit has always given me little pieces of the puzzle from time to time and moment to moment, but I never get the full big picture, because I think if I did, maybe it would be too much for me in the current consciousness state and human state that I am. So just like we didn't know that we were going to have a global pandemic 2 years ago, we are getting ready for something. We're on the cusp of something, and it is going to be quite wonderful. That I do feel.
Yeah. At the beginning of the year, I heard very strongly from guidance, it's like, this is the year of not knowing.
Yes.
This is the year of not knowing. It's like, okay, what does that mean? And it means exactly that. And again, I was one that I could interpret the energies that were going to become in different ways and kind of get a sense of it. But really going into this 2022, there's nothing. I can feel a moving forward. I can feel an alignment again with that word, that integrity, that truth within myself that's really wanting to take place. And that's happening only in the present moment. Yes. And as I align with that and remind myself of that, or feel when I've gotten myself off of it, it's a callback as best I can, as much as I can remember, but it's to bring that forward step by step. And I don't know what that's going to look like 3 months, 4 months, 5 months from now. I have no idea.
No, nor have I. What I do know is the changes I've been experiencing recently. The energy language, the codes of light that I speak, which are energy codes really of new creation, these words that come out of my mouth. They began in 2002. What's happening now is that the energy is changing, the words are changing, and they're getting stronger. And it seems to me, from the feedback I've had from other people's experience, that they are transforming more quickly when I speak these words. And I've been working just this week actually with quite in-depth healing, emotional, physical healing. And people have given really good feedback. And it's really because I don't quite know where this energy is going. But if I go back to way back in 1998, when I first started doing this work with Spirit, a man came to my house one night. His name was Alvin, and he was taken out in an out-of-body experience onto a starship. And during this 2-hour experience that he had, lying on my massage table with his eyes shut, he said, "They say that your role is to recode the DNA." And recently, in the last probably 5 years, that's exactly what I've been doing, because our human capacity is so much more than we've been currently able to express. It's like this essay or the recipe of human life has only been a half baked. We haven't had the icing on the top of the cake. So there's something coming which is going to put that icing on the top of the cake of who we are, so that everything about us as humans and what we expect that we can do as human beings, and how we think and how we feel and how we co-create together, and the energies that we're going to receive from star nations and extraterrestrial sources to help us recreate our world, are all coming through the people who have, on a soul level, have a destiny plan to play out, where it is their role to bring this information through. And there's many, many people, and probably many of you who are listening today are in that category, where you know that there's something that you're meant to be doing, but it hasn't quite manifested yet. And that's okay, because as you said, John, this is the time of not knowing. This is the year of not knowing, and we will know when the time is right. Just like I had no idea that I'd ever speak something weird called the languages of light before I spoke it. But when I spoke it, it just felt absolutely normal to me, and I felt I'd always been doing it. And so I never questioned it. It was never something really crazy because it was so normal and so part of who my soul is, you see. And I guess what I'm really saying here is that we all have these capacities within our soul. And this is really what, later I'm going to talk about the beautiful program and the True Colors program. But this is really what the work of spirit is all about, to switch us on to more of our innate soul capacity, so that at this time of soul merging and soul emergence through our physical vessel, which is what is meant to happen, we are being activated just synchronistically and also by the energy to just know what this is. And I promised to share some of my story with people on my email, as you see, John. So I want to tell a little story, which is they're all absolutely true, because I consider myself to be absolutely normal person like everybody else, but I have had some rather unusual experiences in the last 30 odd years. And I'm going to share one of them with you. And this is going back to, way back, I think, to the late 80s or early 90s. And I was doing some work with an Australian man called Elton Camadon, who taught something called the Melchizedek Method. And Elton Camadon, he took us through a guided meditation. And the guided meditation was a journey to a menti. Now, a menti is this place within the inner earth of recreation for us. Thoth, the ascended master Thoth in Egypt, he was called Jehote. He used to go down beneath the Great Pyramid, and he used to spend time in the halls of Amenti to regenerate and restore the vitality of his physical body. So in this guided meditation we were doing, we had to go to Amenti, and we had to stand before the 7 lords in their places in this. And I could see in my inner sight what was happening. I could see these 7 lords. They looked like faceless, really, but they had seen that I had these white robes on, and they were very tall. And in my meditation, in my inner sight, I saw myself standing in front of them. And then Elton said, now speak your name to the 7 lords of Amenti. And out of my mouth came, not Judy, but out of my mouth came the words, my name is Yayisha, child of light. And I got to understand after that we're all children of light. We're all children of light who came to this planet a very long time ago. And that's our soul. That's our true soul essence and our true soul energy. And now it's that true soul essence and soul energy which is actually flooding into our human selves. And that's why many of us right now feel so sort of like ho-hum. What's the purpose of life? I don't know what I'm doing anymore. I'm really over all the noise and the digital media and the this and the that and the energy that's coming at me. I feel upset and a bit depressed because this is not me speaking, I'm talking about people in general. I feel upset and a bit depressed, maybe the conversation might be going, because I don't know what I'm here to do anymore, and I don't want to do what I used to do, and I don't know what it is. And this is part of the course in 2021. This is how many people are feeling, because it's like the old is gone, because we've started this new alpha to omega cycle of soul. We're in these physical bodies and we're identifying with the personality self, like Judy or John or Mary or Joan or whomever we have been so far in this life. But gosh, more of our soul is literally walking into our bodies on a day-to-day basis. And so the old person that we used to be just doesn't cut the mustard anymore. This is not who we are. We are this timeless, eternal soul, and we're bringing that soul presence into us. And that's honestly my experience that I've been having in recent months, in the last 18 months, really.
Yeah, I felt that alignment as well. And again, I keep calling it alignment into my truth, but really it's an alignment into the soul and the spirit, knowing that I just wasn't able to interpret or understand before. And it's definitely been a journey of synchronization, a journey also of realizing things that we're letting go of, which include fear, doubts, anxiety, but we're still processing. It's like our bodies are still going through the change and feeling some of the alchemy of those emotions as we're learning to be in a different type of relationship with those emotions that don't resemble what they used to be.
Yes. And, we're definitely being alchemized in a way. We are alchemy is a complete, as you will know, and everybody probably does, alchemy is a complete transformational change of state. It's what a caterpillar goes through when it becomes a butterfly. So we're also going through an alchemy process, and all those doubts and fears and emotions that have been vibrating in the cells of us in physical lifetime, because these vibrations of karmic trauma, they come with the soul when the soul comes into our physical body in this lifetime. So then they start to vibrate. And this is why so many people spend lives of trying to clear the karma, because of the vibration of the karmic miasmic patterning. And so because we're going like into the bottom of it's like a crucible. It's like a V. And we're sort of down here in the bottom of the crucible now, the cup. And this cup is like the water of change that we're in. And as we are in this bottom of the cup being alchemized, we are beginning to clear what we came in with and go up to rise up into the new. But it's a process of change. It gets better all the time. And everybody's different in where they are at in the process.
For sure. I love that you brought in the example of the caterpillar and the butterfly also, because what I also feel is happening is that as we're going through that cocooning phase, several of y'all have heard, if you try to assist the caterpillar in breaking the cocoon, then the butterfly won't be able to fly. It has to go through its own metamorphosis of breaking through. But what I feel is that, speakers like you and the vibration, the harmonic that you bring through, provide a resonance for the cocooning to shift on its own through the person's vibration and all that. So while it can seem very isolating as we're in that cocooning crack, the chrysalis cracking open, but the support, again, the vibration, the harmonics, the angelic tone, if you will, the galactic frequency, all of that is providing just enough of that vibration to allow for that organic opening so that the butterfly can really emerge, for the metamorphosis to happen.
I totally agree. And, when we went into lockdown last year in March, Spirit asked me to create a program. It's in the Ascension Library and it's called Breaking Through. And it's all about alchemy and the metamorphosis process that we're going through, just like the caterpillar becoming the butterfly. And I know that Spirit, my guides, they really designed it to come forth at that time, because this is the alchemizing time that we're going through, and we are needing to get ready for what is coming in 2022. So it's like what I was speaking about with this the crucible. It's like a cup, the crucible, and it's like a V. And it's rather hard to show you on the screen, but as we go down into this cup, which is part of our ascension, we come into the waters of change at the bottom of the cup. Mm-hmm. And as we go down into this cup, we are washed clean of the karmic miasmic patterning. This is like a cleansing and a clearing and a completion. And then we become more like, we come to the butterfly going up the other side, hovering on the leaf for a time before we fly off. We're all at different stages of this process, but it's like the V is interesting, because the V that I was shown, it's like all the birds flying in the V formation, and the lead bird is taking the people forward and then taking the birds forward, and then the birds are coming up and taking over. And this is a symbol really of unity, co-creation that we're now moving into as people. And, you know, not any one person holds the answers, but together when we co-create, we can create miracles, really. So every person taps into that particular soul knowledge and the wisdom that they have had from time immemorial and from their lifetimes on earth, and probably from the time of Tara, or from the time that they were a child of light, known as the child of light, who came to this planet in that time of early beginning. This is what is coming back into our conscious recall now. It's that wisdom and that knowledge, the knowing of who we were, so that we can step up and step out and unite to help change earthly reality and life on this planet.
Yeah, I love the way that you're explaining this, and it makes so much sense to me. So if you're imagine that we're in this collective type of spaleton right now. It's like, how can someone pluck themselves out of the collective tailspin, still knowing that we're all part of it, because collectively we're ascending through it. But what can we do to pluck ourselves out to get into that phase that we're in individually, and not be so gravitized by a downward spiral that a density is propagating right now?
Yes. What we can all do is we can take time to be in the stillness, and a stillness for ourselves every day, because we are being bombarded by so much dross and energy, and everywhere we look, there's energy coming at us. So one of the important ways out and to rise up the other side of this V is to spend 11 minutes or maybe 22 minutes. I think 22 minutes is good if you have time. 11 minutes is okay. But focusing, shutting your eyes, maybe before you go to bed at night, and focusing on deliberately creating the energies of peace, of love, of joy, of beauty, of strength, and feeling these energies, which are specific vibrations vibrating through the cells of the body. And then as the physical body begins to entrain to these vibrations, which are fifth dimensional vibrations, then it's easier to see life differently. Because when you have an experience of feeling the energy of love, say, or peace, or strength, if you say, I am strength, with the power of God that I am strength. Now, that seems a bit trite probably to those people that are suffering, and, you know, physically or financially or with relationships, whatever is going on in your life. You might think probably it's easy for her to say that because everything's okay in her life, and most of the time everything is. But we're all human people, and we are going through this process of change, whether we like it or not. The thing is, we can't immediately sometimes change what's going on in our environment or what's going on in our life. But if we start changing the vibration within us that we hold within our consciousness, and we start saying different things, because we are the word that we speak, what we say manifests into our world of form. So the first step is saying something like that, I am strength. If we say you get a bill in the mail and you just can't pay it, there's a lot of people experiencing this right now, because people are losing their jobs all over the world, and it's the most, probably since the Second World War, it's probably the most challenging time for everybody. So sometimes we don't know what we're going to do, but what we can start to do is entrain our energies to manifest a different reality, just by taking the time to be in the stillness of ourselves and to go within and ask our higher self, our soul self, to guide and support us, to develop, not to listen so much to what people out there are saying to us, but to develop an inner dialogue with the soul. Because when we develop an inner dialogue with the true, authentic essence, the magnificence of who we authentically are, then we start to get the answers. But when we're really stressed out and we're worried and we're in fear, and every person out there, all our friends and relatives are telling us something different to do, it's completely stressful. And we just go round and round and round in the worry. Now, I'll give you one example of this from my life. And this is going back a long time ago now. And I was in public relations and marketing. No, and in this particular situation, I got made redundant from my job. And I only had about $6,000 saved up, and I had a mortgage. So I got really stressed out about what to do. And I temporarily took on a job selling radio advertising for the local radio station. But I wasn't very good at that because I knew that particular radio advert wouldn't work for this person and da-da-da-da-da. So, and it was all on commission. So I didn't get much commission and I got really stressed. And then one day, I pulled out the book that I bought in New York a few years before that I'd never read. And it was Sinead Roman and Dwayne Pecker's book called Open to Channel, written in the 80s. And I sat up in bed this very wet, cold, horrible weekend, and I read the book. And I started to do the exercises, the channeling, connecting to spirit exercises. And when I started to do that, my throat started to vibrate really strongly. And then I heard these words in my head that said, go in on Monday and resign from your job, which was the selling of the radio advertising. And every time I got this message, I felt really calm and really peaceful, happy. So on Monday morning, after a lot of this, I trusted the message and I still didn't know what on earth I was going to do and how I was going to get another job. But I went in and I handed my resignation, which was really no hardship because I hadn't earned any money anyway. So it's not like I was losing the job. I was just not tying myself up, having to go in at 9 o'clock every morning, which was a good thing. So I sort of enjoyed myself for that next week. I went for walks. I went and had coffees. I met up with friends. I didn't really worry, strangely enough. Somehow that worry energy must have been taken away by spirit. Because about 10 days later, I got a phone call and I had been doing marketing and public relations for retail shopping centres in Auckland. And I got a phone call from the competition in Auckland and New Zealand. And they said, oh, Judy, we've heard you've left, blah, blah, blah. We're really looking for a consultant to take over the running of all our shopping centres. Would you be interested? So I said, oh, yes, thank you. I would be very interested. And the good thing about it is that instead of being on a salary, my income, I was now a consultant, so my income tripled.
Wow.
So that was my example of putting the energies of positive knowing what you want. For example, if you get a bill in the mail and you can't pay it, don't go into stress. Start speaking the words of faith by saying, look at this bill. With the power of God that I am, I know that I have the money to pay this bill and that all is well. I know. You see, when we create that absolute strength of knowing, and you can create it with any kind of vibration that you want to bring more of into your life. For example, if you feel really stressed and there's too much going on and there's all these people in your life telling you what to do, you could say, with the power of God that I am, I trust myself. I trust my own inner guidance. And you really feel that because it's the energy of the emotion, you see, that helps us to vibrate differently. And then when we create that with that, when we vibrate with that more expanded sense of trust, then miracles actually do happen, as I explained. And synchronicities occur outside of what we think might happen, because we think usually what might happen is a rerun of what might have happened in the past. And so it's important not to get caught up in what has happened to us going back in our life, and understand that we are now, because we're at this time of ascension change, right on the cusp of stepping into our true magnificence, that we have more power. We have more wind beneath our wings, actually. We actually have the wings of the angels flapping around us, and all we have to do is trust that and go into our heart, into our love, and speak the truth of what we want. And I always use those words, with the power of God that I am. I am light. I am strength. I can do it. You see, I do it.
It's so wonderful, Judy. And I'm so glad that you're bringing this into a very grounded aspect, because again, this isn't a place, well, it could very easily become a place where we become victimized because we're not taking responsibility. And
Yes.
responsibility not from the dense space, but from a response able. We have the capacity to respond in the way that's of benefit to ourselves. And it's the practices, it's the being aware. So we're torn into this collective tornado that isn't the truth of what's running through us. Or even if we get caught up again with that bill or those things that seem to be falling apart, the practice that you speak of, just that, and the 11 minutes, 22 minutes, I say, if you can't do 22 minutes, then you need to do 44. It's just, the old saying.
Simple. Yeah.
And really bringing it in. Another aspect that you brought up, and it's been happening to me very specifically. I feel a connection to my guides. It felt like it went flat for a while.
Mm.
And over the last 2 to 3 months, it seems like it's reawakened, but in a more potent way. And I'm getting the numeric messages. I'm getting the dream messages. I'm getting my mother and father who've passed away feeling really close to me. So something is shifting, but very much like you're suggesting, I'm also going into this grounded place. It's like, oh, I'm at peace. Oh, I trust. Oh, I have faith. And in that, there's just a grounding in and an amplifying from ego to soul to source.
Yes.
Of this truth that's running through.
Absolutely. I really acknowledge that. And I have experienced similar changes, because we are at this time of incredible change, and we don't know what's around the corner. And, I found it interesting when I was thinking about our conversation today, because what came into my mind was thinking about the Harmonic Convergence back in 1987, organized by Jose Aguiles and his wife. And this was the first global peace meditation on the planet. But it was time to align with a very powerful planetary alignment. The Earth and the Moon and 6 out of 8 planets in our solar system all aligned together. It was on the 16th and the 17th of 1987. And so this sort of ushered in a divinely planned and astrologically orchestrated awakening for humanity. See? It also came at the end of what Mr. Aguiles explained as a pattern of 13 hells. In Aztec and Mayan teachings, there were 13 52-year periods of heaven and 13 52-year periods of hell. And the 52-year periods of hell ended on that day in 1987. So now we're in like free fall. The other thing that I found interesting is that the 52-year periods of hell, the 13 hell cycles, if you like, they began way back on the 22nd of April, 1519. And that was the day that Cortes invaded Mexico.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, I didn't know that. So this was the beginning of this cycle of, you could say, human oppression, not just in Mexico, but in many countries. And we, this upgrade, this more expansive, this stronger domination and control human aggression cycle began. And then in 1987, this ended. Now, this planetary alignment appeared again in our skies on the 3rd of March, 2019. I'm getting confused. 2019. So the 3rd of March 2019, like 2 years ago, it sort of tended to usher in. I'm sure there's a connection between this global pandemic and what we are going through as people, and the lockdown we are experiencing, and the inner changes that we're being challenged and forced to go through, really, with this whole process of divinely planned evolutionary change that we're seeing, which is part of ascension. So 2021, this time of not knowing what's ahead, 2022 related to the 22 galaxies, and I feel a much more powerful explosion of energies coming from God, Source, this divine matrix, which is bringing the energies in for our human expansion and our human change and our earthly planetary changes. And not just this Earth, and not just this galaxy, our Milky Way galaxy, but changes that are taking place because it's a new cycle of soul for all beings within the 22 galaxies of the diamond in our part of the universe. It's our multi-galactic part of the universe. And we're all going through these changes, not just in human form. It's what I feel.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating what happened. And I can feel the alignment with that. And and again, when you spoke earlier, and when you opened up to these parts of yourself that you never would have imagined, and as you're speaking now with these 22 facets that we're expanding into, what I want everyone in the audience to feel is really, perhaps when I opened up to like the dam cracking open and energy coming in ways that I hadn't experienced before, it's a very pinnacle moment and can be really beautifully overwhelming, but there's also an easing in our body in the knowing of something that can be so out of this world, but can feel so correct for us at the same time.
Yes, it does feel correct, doesn't it? Even though we don't know. No, just to tell you another little story. This is going back quite a long time now. And I went to Joshua Stone's Wesak celebration in California when Joshua Stone was an early spiritual teacher. And after the celebration, after the Wesak, which is to do with Buddha's birthday, me and 3 other friends were told by Spirit to drive. We got in the car and we had to drive. And every time we came to an intersection, my hand went like this, honestly, like a ramrod straight. And then it showed the direction where we were to drive to. And we spent several days doing clearing on aluminium dumps and karmic clearing on people's lawns. And one day we actually ended up in this little town in Nevada. And it was just one little street and a few little shops. And I said to everybody, I'm going to see where we can go and have dinner. So I walked across the road and down this little alleyway with stones on it. And at the end of the alleyway, and I kid you not, was a French restaurant. It was like, and this French restaurant was absolutely covered in fairy lights. And I walked in, there was no guests eating in the restaurant, but there was beautiful music playing and polished antiques. And I don't think you get much of this in the back blocks of Nevada. And beautiful, huge vases of flowers. And so we ate at that restaurant just on our own. And it was like this had been manifested out of another dimension. It felt like it to us. So
I love that story.
So I feel that what's coming in 2022 and beyond, because the years 2022 to 2033 is this powerful 11-year portal of change. It's a major process of change, of ascension change and ascension upgrade. So I feel that what is coming in this time is beyond what we know right now.
Mm-hmm. Judy, I want to get into more of what you're seeing into 2022 in a second.
Sure.
And maybe we can benefit from a transmission, all of us collectively on the call in a little bit. And before we get into that, I do want to get into your Ascension library.
Sure.
And give everybody access to that and awareness of what's available there on a continuous basis. So April is gonna, and she just did, she typed in the chat box the link to get to the Ascension library, which is a special offer today on Beyond the Ordinary show. And you can also get to that same page if you want to open up a new browser. For some reason, if you can't access it here, go to a new browser and hi, Zoe. And go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Judy26. It'll take you to that same page. And Judy, let everybody know what they're going to be receiving in this accumulation of this incredible library that you've been building for a long time and keep adding to.
Yes, well, we're in our 4th year now, just with the Ascension Library. And the reason that it was set up is because I came to understand that in this ascension process is continuously evolving. And I used to create products and sell them, but I realized that this was just not possible. It's not possible for people to buy everything that came forth, because it was on and on and on and on and on, and it's going to continue like that. It's quite clear to see that. It's not going to stay static and still. So I've never been able to create a product and sell it and keep doing the same thing for 10 years. It's just not possible, because it's always evolving. So the library was set up to make access to all this continual evolving change material and information affordable for people, and easy to access. And it's all set out, there's over 500 recordings basically and programs in this library. They're video, some of them are video, most of them are, and some of them are just audio. But what they do is that they help us through this process of change, and they help us connect to more of our soul's truth and our soul's beauty and our soul's light. And I've chosen 2 to put in the sales information, even though there's dozens, because of their effect on soul emergence. And the first one is the Beautiful Program. And the Beautiful Program will actually instill, it's alchemy, and it will actually instill energy vibrations of beauty of heart, which is about love, beauty of mind, beauty of body, and beauty of spirit. And I got a message from somebody yesterday who'd been using this beautiful program, and she said that she'd lost 12 kilograms of weight. Her physical body had never looked better. Her hair had grown long and luscious, and she felt absolutely wonderful. So this is the Beautiful Program, because what it does, Beauty of Soul, and also the other recordings, it brings forth the true beauty and the essence of our soul, so that this flows through our human form. And this is part of Ascension, of course. It's about a new vitality. Also on the page on your site, John, is information about True Colors. And True Colors is a program that you can do in 16 days, or you can take longer. And the thing about all these programs, you do it when you want to do it. You know, it's good to create a spiritual discipline where you might spend half an hour a day, but you don't have to do it every day of the week. You could do it 5 days of the week. I tend to do it Monday to Friday myself, and then I have the weekend off to sort of let my body recalibrate and recuperate. But True Colors is a program which will clear the final vestiges of this karmic miasmic patterning that our soul has brought into this human embodiment in this lifetime very quickly. And then the part 3, which I've added to recently, part 3 is about activating more of the soul's wisdom, bringing in energies from source, from beyond the beyond, clearing past life vows that we might have made, which unconsciously block us from being the true essence of who we really are. There's so much in the library, John. There's programs called There's a whole regeneration pathway, which is about physical regeneration. There's foundational tools, and I've created a few recently to help the immune system, particularly for those people who have had vaccines or have to have vaccines. We all tend to have vaccines these days. And so this is a stressor on the body, like everything that comes into our environment. And the immune system boosting recording will really help with this. There's recordings also to help with 5G Wi-Fi. There's recordings to help with energy overload, nervous system overload that we're all experiencing right now. And there's a recording that helps with aches, pains, and inflammation. Because as we clear this karmic miasmic patterning, the energy vibrates within our body, and this tends to cause inflammation in our physical body. And so it's a process of change. There's a lot there.
There's a lot there. I've heard so many beautiful things about the Ascension Library, and again, the generosity in which you're providing it in, and the way that you're offering it makes a lot of sense, because selling program after program after program, it's just, yes, there's no keeping up. And so to have access to this in a continuous basis is so beautiful. Judy, describe the difference. There's two different opportunities here that are coming in. Excuses, my screen did that. But there's two different opportunities that are flowing in for this Ascension Library.
Yes.
There's $496 annual with a member download portal, or there's $33 a month.
Sometimes people just want to have one hit on their credit card, and that lasts for a whole year. And the annual members, it's a little bit more than monthly membership, as you'll notice. But that's because the annual members get download rights to any of the recordings. And you know, why not? If you're paying monthly, then you can't download the recordings, but you can access them on your phone. We have an app just on your phone, but we also have an app, and you can access them on any of your digital platforms that you might want to access it on. Okay. And I think $33 a month was what Spirit told me, because 33 is Christ consciousness vibration. And so this is God's work. And so 33 is like the energy exchange for accessing God's work, or work of the divine, really. And we also have a lot of support. I mean, for example, we have a membership person who helps answer people's questions through Zendesk, where you can click on a little green help button and send a message to Michelle, and she'll help you. We're also setting up some other kind of online training, which may be probably in groups, about the library. So this is coming down the line, I think, in November, where Michelle will take little mini classes, or, you know, classes for whatever number of people want to join on certain aspects of the library, or certain programs, or just straight Q&A. And then I myself, I teach an additional webinar 9 months of the year. And the one coming up in November is to do with love, loss, and relationships.
Oh, beautiful.
In December, it's about abundance. But it's going beyond what we know about those topics. It's actually taking it one step further and bringing through energy transmissions that will activate very quickly those states. Because, you know, I had 116 questions the other day for the call that we've just done, which was a Q&A call. And it's very obvious to me that there's a lot of need, really. A lot of people are really concerned. And I think probably the major thing about the Ascension Library is its community. The Ascension Library community networks and supports with people all around the world. And it's the understanding that we get from everybody who's on this journey with us that I think is so important. So all these things in the Ascension Library, really.
Wonderful. And again, you can access it here on Beyond the Ordinary show. There's the two options. Again, the annual with the download access for $496 annually, or $33 a month And there's a 5-day free trial period if you just want to check it out to make it a no-brainer for you. To go ahead and subscribe and keep up with this emerging technology, I want to call, and intelligence that Judy's transmitting as we're moving forward and really expanding into a beautiful axis of awareness, even though it may seem unknown. And again, the catalyst to be able to hold that is again that vibrational field, Judy, that I talked about earlier with the caterpillar,
Yes.
the cocoon, and that is what just allows the reverberation of that expansion to activate it at its fullest potential. So it's wonderful what you're offering here and how you're offering it. So again, I highly recommend it for everybody on the call, and the links are there for you guys to become active members with Judy in this Ascension Library. So take advantage of it. Again, the link's in the chat box to get there. So thank you for that, Judy.
You're welcome. And I also just want to explain that, you know, as I said, the reason this was set up because this ascension process is ongoing and it is evolving and it is getting stronger. And the library gives access to everything that has gone before, but also everything that's coming. And I know there's something really strong and major coming because I feel it in my body and I feel it and I see it in the words that I'm speaking. So, you know, I also feel that, I mean, if you just bought a program like Beautiful, for example, which you still can do without joining the library, it's $147. So that's really why I wanted to make the Ascension Library available for everybody, because we don't all have that kind of money to buy individual programs. And that's the essence of it, really, because the Ascension Library is a library. It's got all these programs and recordings in it, and it will continue to have. But more than anything, it's a vehicle to recode the DNA. It's a vehicle to get the energy out to people on the planet that's coming down the line, I believe.
Yeah, it's so wonderful. And again, I love the way that you've set it up and the access. And it's ever evolving, but still access to these other places. I love that you talk about EMFs. I love that you're talking about what's happening to the body, the transitions that are happening on the earth plane and how we're adjusting to it. And again, you're addressing the inflammation, the different components that are happening. And it's vital because we're all experiencing it. And it's like, what's happening? Why does my face look puffy? Why do I feel like my fingers are doing this? Why am I feeling tired all the time? Like my joints and bones are aching, and it would seem for no reason, or we want to blame these other things, but it's part of this evolution that's happening. And to have that understanding is so profound.
It's actually really funny, John, because when I set things up this morning, my face wasn't puffy, but now it's got a bit puffy. And it's because there's changes going on in my throat chakra, because the throat chakra is about communication, and the throat chakra is also the chakra of divine will. And as we move through this process of change, we are, and it's with soul emergence coming, the soul aspect of us merging more with our human self, we are actually merging more with the authentic truth of the soul and bringing this into us. So with your permission, I'd like to bring some energy through.
Yes.
And this is particularly about being a catalyst for our soul emergence, to help us speak our truth with authenticity, to help us trust the process, because the throat chakra is also about trust. In past life, maybe we may have had a lot of betrayal. So we're having to clear this energy so that we can step forward, because then we move into the upper chakras. This is the third eye, which is about manifestation and creation. But we're manifesting beyond our human desires to manifest and create. We're actually manifesting as timeless soul beings, and this will come to pass. And then, of course, the crown chakra is about our connection to the divine and to multidimensional realities through that Shishunda channel, central vertical power current. So I just invite everybody just to put your hands palm up and just be. And this is energy from beyond the beyond to help us be our truth. Mukuka la kishla kazi mi disflue. A shlo de sabbat gulat sabidi sabalaka. Adabetaka de galita betka sabbat kuzugodesia. Adabetaka godasia. Akataka de betagdasia betagdi. Akadabetaka bede satabetaka la koya. A satabetaka bede sakolia. Akasiti sabalakoya. Akasabetaka sabatagadisia. Akadabetaka la betakadi sasasa. Akadabetaka sabatagadli. A stonna balakisa the samalakoi and a cousin the shlana balisatia, mekalisa the sa. So now I'm working with the heart chakra, like putting away shards of dullness or shards of inhibition that are preventing us from opening to our truth through the love energy and the love essence that we are. Mokola kisa la kisha the satabisi, adabatagola satisi. Adabetagadi sadasi, Adabetagudi sadasabadia, Academic sadabadia socolia, Acasiti sabatagadisia, Academic Astodisia, Istodisia, Istodisi, Academic Sassisi, Adabetagudi Sadisi, Adabetagudi Sadisi, the Sasasa, Melagodi Sasa. And this word sa, which often comes through, is about ascension, 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 ascended. Makulaki sadasa, adagadi sadasa, adabadagadi sadasa, dagzi sadiya, amalakasi disi, akalaki sadisi, makalaki zabadagadabidikulus sasasa, akasitiki, 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 akasitiki. And then Spirit is saying, and so it is, and so it is. And so it is. And so this is energy, this is source, new creation energy to recreate us, to help us move through this time with greater ease and grace and greater acceptance of what is occurring in the certain knowing of who we really are, like the timeless soul, presence and essence of who we really are. So I hope you've all received that. Okay.
Oh, beautiful, Judy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Wow, powerful. So powerful what's coming in. Wow. As you talked about ascension and the Sana came in and that was coming, it's so funny. The image that I got was of the spaceship that had been grounded and a propulsion system kind of taking it up. It's like taking that spaceship, taking that consciousness, really connecting with that galactic intelligence.
Yes.
And brethren, truly.
Truly is.
And so that was, wow, I love that visualization that came in. Wow, Judy. So what else do you see coming in for 2022? What are the tidbits?
The tidbits. Okay. So I'm just going to bring this through as a channeled message now. 2022 to 2033 is it's like a portal of change. And as we had the crucible, this V shape, and we're down in the bottom of the V in the water, all of us, some of us are going down into it and some of us are rising up from it. But we're all in this metamorphic process. And as we move into March 2022, we're coming out of the water like cleansed and refreshed and rebuilt and remade anew. So this change over the next few months is for those that are ready and those that are at that point of change. There is a revitalizing effect of the physical body that is going to take place. And in 2022, this revitalization will express itself as feeling more energy, having more strength, feeling just more okay with what is, feeling able to stand in the authentic light of who we are, which means being honest about what we think and feel and being able to say it to people, being able to say no when we want to say no, instead of feeling that we have to say yes, because our lives are changing. And to align with our soul purpose and our lives that are changing, we need to, all of us probably need to make some sort of decisions to navigate a new pathway and walk a new path. We're walking, instead of walking this path that was probably a little bit limiting and okay, but we always felt a bit tired and we didn't feel 100%, into sidestepping and taking a new road, which is about joy, which is about love, which is about peace. It's about feeling good. It's about co-creating with people more. It's about actually changing the way we live our lives so that we are not so bogged down in other people's expectations, and even the expectations that we load upon ourselves about what we've always done and what we think we should do. So it's really ditching the shoulds and being more aligned with the light of the truth and being okay with that. Because it's, in the past we could make these changes, but it brought up a lot of guilt or worry or anxiety or have I done the right thing? It's a feeling of being able to make the right changes for us at the right time without all this baggage that we've been pulling along behind us more in 2022.
I'm getting the chills as you're speaking about this, Judy, because it's helping me to redefine the concept of faith. Because I think for many millennium, there's been a belief of this faith that is something else is going to save us, or that we're going to connect with something that regardless of who we be or how we're being it, that there is this supreme power that is going to change our existence. And as you're talking and you're transmitting right now, that definition of change or of faith for me is changing as we align to our truth. The faith of us having in our truth is what's carrying us forward. And that's a whole different definition. That brings a whole hopefulness to faith rather than the blind walking forward, because we truly are in the driver's seat of the reciprocation of an energetic that is going to meet us, even though we don't necessarily have to know how that unfolds.
I couldn't agree more, because it's taking us, as you say, it's putting us in the driver's seat, but it's taking us away from victimhood, being the victims, waiting for something to happen to us, and the supplication. There's nothing wrong with prayer. Prayer is wonderful, because prayer is also gratitude and giving thanks. But it's about expressing the truth of what we want. It's about speaking the words of what we want to create and seeing ourselves as the creator, the authorities, the authentic truth of who we are, and being in our own energy, that which we wish to bring in to us in the future. And just being happy, really. My guides have always said that life in human form should be about being happy and well. And we know that there's not many people on our planet in that fortunate position. I hope from 2022 to 2033, a lot more people are able to be happy and well. And that's really the teaching of Ascension. That's what Ascension is all about. And if we become like that, and we express our truth, and we hold our light, and we find life joyful and co-creative, then we mentor those who are behind us on that journey. But we have to get there first, and that's what's happening now. And we are getting there. All of us are getting there really quickly.
We sure are. This has been such a fascinating call, and I'm not going to take live calls today, guys. It's just, I want to be in this transmission with you, Judy, and really want to keep the energy of this going. And of course, I wanted to, again, Judy's Ascension Library, the special offer. April, I'm sure, will type it into the chat box any second now. Access the special offer, the transmissions, the energy, the awareness, the community that helps us. Again, when I was on your call that you invited me to quite a few months back, that was so powerful to be in that collective with you. And for y'all to have access to that, an essence of community like that is just, I cannot recommend it enough.
Yeah, it was wonderful. It was really wonderful to have you on that call, John, because, you know, I've spoken on your show for a long time now, and you're doing such valuable work to get the word out. And but as you say, it's about co-creating together. And this is what the Ascension community is doing now. It's not about me shouting it from the rooftops. It's about all of us, like birds in a V, supporting the other birds in the V and going where we're going. And where we're going is into a much more expanded light of who we are, and a much more expanded understanding of what we can actually do and create as human people. That's the excitement of the journey, actually.
Well, and you just spoke the word that I wanted to ask you about, which is so interesting. I love that you bring it up, because for me, even over the last few months,
yes,
that feeling of excitement has been, I would say, dormant, as kind of in that caterpillar kind of cocooning stage. It's like, in the not knowing, and more of the ups and the downs of it, and allowing the body to calibrate and going through its ascension process as well. But I'm curious how you're accessing, or how excitement is defining itself for you. What's exciting you right now? Yeah.
Excitement is defining me by knowing that, and I have to be honest with everybody now, I have always gone through a bit of flat on my back period. Because every time there's a burst of energy coming in, which adjusts my energy field so that I can take the work to a more expanded level and speak different energy words, it knocks me a little bit. And it always has, from 20 years ago, always like that, because my body's being used as a vessel to transmit these energies. And my body, like everybody else's body, is going through these changes of adjustment. But my body's going through a lot of changes of adjustment. And so I've always had that. But what I also notice is I have so much more vitality now, and energy and strength, and it's affected everything about me. You know, my skin is different from a human woman's perspective. I went through a lot of changes with my eyes earlier this year. On some days, I couldn't actually see out of one of my eyes. And it was because the eyes are the windows to the soul. And as we merge into more of the soul, the karmic miasmic energy that was held within my eyes, what I'd seen and taken in that was traumatic in past life, was coming out. And, you know, my eyes were bloodshot. And it happened, actually, it began to happen on the 1st of January, 2021, wow, which was sort of interesting, where my left eye suddenly became really bloodshot. And then for several months, I went through this process with the eyes, like unfolding, seeing through new eyes. My eyes are perfect now, but it was challenging for a while because I wear contact lenses and I could never get the right prescription because of the changes to my eyes. Now they're fine. But I see this as, when I look back at these situations that have happened to me, it makes me really excited about what's coming. Because I look back at 3 years ago, I feel much more regenerated than I did 3 years ago, but I'm 3 years older. So it's very exciting when you get to be a certain age that you see your body transforming before your eyes and you feel so much better. And this is really key about what Beautiful does and the whole regeneration pathway in the library. Because this is actually working with the flesh and blood cellular structure of the human body. It's not just working with the soul. You know, it's working with the cells, and particularly working with the mitochondria within the cells. And it's the mitochondria that is the energy powerhouse within the cells that creates ATP for cellular metabolism and the metabolism of the entire body. And then there's also energy transmissions in the library and the regeneration pathway to do with the blood. Our blood is like the river of new life for us. And so everything is about a transformation process, which is physical and in consciousness, and bringing the soul's light and the soul's wisdom and what we used to be able to do in past life, just having it happen, because it comes from comes into the subconscious, and then it comes into the conscious mind quite by chance. And this is synchronicity, really, serendipity, things just happening when we least expect them to happen. And the spirit is saying to me, okay, let's try this out now. So let's do something now, which I've never done before. And I'm just trusting what I'm hearing.
I love it.
And we'll see what serendipity is occurring for us. So this is what they say. When I talk about they, I work with this energy of new creation of source, but I also work with the council, a number of star councils actually. And this particular one is called the Council of El Sa'om, where El means God or of God, Sa means ascended, and Om, we know what Om is, like universal, the tone of the universe, universal peace. So this is about sending the tone of the universe, universal peace, through us to harmonize and balance us and bring us into the state of peace and oneness with all life. You just sit and receive. Whoa, 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 Mikli Shilasana Melokoli Shlana Melokoya. And Mikliza the Sama Lokodi Sabalokodi Slokishliaka. And Mikliza the Shlona Velaguli Baraksabil, because he is Sabalokisia. Alabacologalata Kazapatical Sato Kadia. Akanabatakana Saptabadiki. Akanabatakalabataki Sapatical Sakia. Akanabatak Zodic Sabagadisia. Akati Sita Colosisi. Akati Sacolesia. Alabacolisa, the Coisidi Kazim, the Golisa, the Godisia, and the Godisa, the Sarkozy. I can say to Kushidisa. So this language that I'm speaking is really codes of light. It's not a really translatable language. It's just bringing energy through that is helping us merge more into the peace, the true note, the soul note of who we really are, like the note of our soul, because there is a place in the body, it's called the core star. It's just below the diaphragm. I'll just stand back. Below the diaphragm and above the navel, and it's where the note of the soul sits. Because we're like a piece of music, really, as people. The note of the soul is affected by karmic miasmic distortion, the energy of past life trauma. And what we're doing now is we're harmonizing this note of the soul so that the past life trauma vibrating in the core star way down here, but dimensionally deep within us, which is also flows, this vibration also flows holographically through the energy fields of our body and through our cellular structure. And there's trillions of cells in the body. So what this means for us, that there's this subtle energy vibration which is off pitch or off key in the cells of our body. And depending on how much energy trauma there is, this faulty patterning will also affect the cell's ability, all of the trillions of cells in the body, to actually operate in divine perfection. So we're bringing energy through to harmonize the one note of the soul down here at the core star but also bring this energy through holographically into the cells of the body so that the cells of our body feel calmer and more peaceful. It's like calming the waters because the cells are 98% water. So it's like calming the waters of the cells so that divine recreation can occur, which is what is going to lead us to our regeneration, physical, and new vitality. But we're calming the waters. We'll just do some more. Aka, 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 aka. And the ka in ancient Egypt meant the physical body. So it's aka, working with the physical body, harmonizing, bringing that note of the soul, the harmony of the note of the soul into the flesh and blood physical structure of the body. So I hope what you feel right now is a calm, more centered feeling of peace within every part of the body. And this, of course, when we bring this energy in, it is what is giving rise to our physical regeneration and our renewed physical vitality as people. So we go beyond healing. We go beyond healing, which is balance, into regeneration. This is also part of ascension. Melchizedek. I hope you're all feeling good now.
Oh my God, what a wonderful way to end tonight's call, Judy. That was phenomenal. Thank you. Yes, that feels very peaceful and very just, like I just took a shower in golden light. So amazing. It's everybody again, the Ascension Library, more access to Judy, the live call coming in November as well. Wonder what else is going to stream through there.
Yes.
And again, just hundreds of hours worth of just invaluable material that's available to you. Again, the link's in the chat box, or you can go to beyondtheordinaryshow.com/Judy26 to that same page. And Judy, so many beautiful comments, so lovely. I have tears running down my eyes. Thank you so much. Very peaceful, misting my eyes. I love it. It's just the energy you bring in, and
Welcome.
Again, the awareness of the essence of faith and the reinterpretation of that was such a huge takeaway for me today, and then to be integrated and bathed in these other energies through the full transmission of today's call. It's such a blessing. So Judy, thank you so much.
You're welcome, John.
For your love. Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me on the call, and much love to all of you out there around the world listening. And I honestly think, John and everybody, we have an inkling of who we're going to become.
Yeah.
But we don't really know yet, but it's beyond magnificent. It's really beyond what we know.
That's exciting. See, that ignited. It's like, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, I'm glad I'm on this journey with you, Judy, and with all of you here on the call. Just bow down and namaste to each and one of you. And it's with that I wish you all a great evening, a great day. If you're listening to the replay, welcome and thank you for being here as well, and for participating and contributing to the energies. And again, with so much love and gratitude, Judy, I look forward to the next call.
Thank you very much.